Truly remote and wild, Gates of the Arctic National Park and Preserve in northern Alaska is the second largest national park, bigger than the state of Maryland. It is often the least visited park, and it is the northernmost park completely inside the Arctic Circle. It is difficult and expensive to get here. There are no trails, campgrounds, roads, or facilities inside the park. Except for the occasional plane noise, it is as it was 12,000 years ago when people first fished and hunted caribou here. This pristine wilderness is the main attraction at Gates of the Arctic. The national park was established in 1980 to protect the Brooks Range, the northernmost mountain range in America. The preserve part of the park allows hunting and subsistence living. So, why do people visit this park? There are two types of visitors. First, the truly adventurous type. These people have the hardiness and the skill to not only do backcountry camping, but be able to find their way without any marked trails. They can hike through thick bushes, cross streams, and navigate rapids. They seek self-reliance, the challenge, and to truly be one with nature. Second, the bucket list type. These people, like us, have a bucket list. The satisfaction is to complete that list. As you already know, we are visiting all the national parks in the US. Gates of the Arctic is a national park, so we must visit. You really have to want to visit to be here. It is logistically complex and expensive. You can't just fly to a big airport, rent a car, and drive to the park. We really wanted to be here, and the journey was part of the fun. It took us 5 flights to get to Bettles, a gateway community of 21 people and 35 miles inside the Arctic Circle. That was before we got on a 6th flight for our flight seeing tour. We reserved everything for our trip 6 months ahead of time, and we were only doing lodging at Bettles and a day-long flight seeing trip. If you want to rough it and go to the backcountry with a guide, which is highly recommended, you need to reserve that a year ahead. The season is short and the outfitters few. We decided on mid-September for 2 reasons: avoid mosquitoes and to see the northern lights. Mosquitoes can be a real problem in June and July, but by September they weren't an issue. September gave us enough darkness to have reasonable chance to see the northern lights without being too cold. We arrived in Fairbanks along with hundreds of Princess Cruise passengers. They were headed for comfortable coaches and big cruise ships with lots of people and food. We were headed for the wilderness tundra, limited food, and tiny planes. The next morning, our wilderness trek started at Wright Air Service. Check-in involved not only weighing our luggage, but also ourselves to make sure the plane can carry the weight. The 9 of us got into a small plane with some cargo for the remote villages. These planes deliver all the provisions for the villages with no access to roads. Once airborne, I noticed cloud cover in some of the valleys, but didn't think much of it.
Well, the best laid plans often don't happen here in the great wilderness of Alaska. We're supposed to land at Bettles first, however, it was fogged in. And, basically I went to another, Kobuk, I think it's called, which was kind of the second destination. We came here first, and fortunately it was not fogged in. We're able to land, and we're going to wait for the fog to burn off and see if we can get into Bettles anyway today. Well, that's what happens in the great Alaskan wilderness. If you can't see the runway, I guess you can't land. All part of the adventure.
After an hour, the fog at Bettles lifted just in time. If it had not, we were going back to Fairbanks. Mother Nature is still in full control here. As we were warned, any schedule out here are mere estimates, always subject to the weather. We were on Alaskan time, and it wasn't referring to the time zone.
It's a beautiful day. On this day that we are going to go to the 2 national parks north of the Arctic Circle. We're starting out today at Bettles last night, and it was a great night at the Bettles Lodge, where we got up in the middle of the night and saw some northern lights. That was fantastic. We're about ready to set off to go to the gates of the Arctic and Kobuk Valley on our 5 or 6 hour plane tour. Very excited. Those will be the 61st and the 62nd park for us, and looking very much forward to it.
The weather cooperated and we lifted off on a sunny, at least at Bettles, 40-degree morning in a float plane with the 5 of us for our 6.5 hour tour of the gates of the Arctic and Kobuk Valley. Comfort was not the strength of these small planes. If you think a coach seat in the big jet is uncomfortable, you should sit in this for a while. It was small, cramped, noisy, cold, and drafty. But none of that mattered because the view was mesmerizing. The plan was to visit Kobuk Valley first and then gates of the Arctic on the way back. But once again, Mother Nature had the final say. Kobuk was fogged in, so we landed at Walker Lake in gates of the Arctic first. The 14-mile-long Walker Lake was amazing, pristine, and secluded. We walked along the lake shore, mixing our footprints with bear prints and moose prints. We went a bit inland, stepping on colorful moss that felt like thick carpet. The berries were abundant, ripe for the bears to eat before they hibernate. We enjoyed the tall peaks that flank the lake. The view is the same now as it was thousands of years ago, and hopefully thousands of years from now. There was probably no one else within 50 miles of us. It was so peaceful. We stayed for about an hour, longer than usual, for the fog to lift at Kobuk Valley before we said goodbye to Walker Lake. I didn't mind it at all. That was such an enjoyable experience. We were able to see spectacular sights with minimal effort. I'll cover Kobuk Valley and the Northern Lights in other videos. The link is in the description below, so go check it out. Although we didn't experience the gates of the Arctic in the true wilderness way, the way it was meant to be experienced, it was still an excellent trip and very satisfying to check another park off of the list. The whole trip, everything from getting to Fairbanks, getting on a small plane to Bettles with a fog, getting on an even smaller float plane to land on the amazing secluded Walker Lake, it was the adventure. Gates of the Arctic is not for everyone, but for the right person, it is an unforgettable park to visit. We are on our way to visit all the national parks in the United States. Follow along by hitting the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell so you know when a new video is released. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and please share it with everybody that you know.